Hello, my name is Menéndez. I am an architecture student at the Technical University of Madrid. I hope you all are feeling well these days of pandemic, and I'll try to make it more bearable with this 5-minute presentation. During this time, we will approach some basic knowledge about biomimicry, how it emerged, its adaptation to present architecture, and the future plans on this field. First of all, I consider starting with the definition of the word. Biomimicry, from the Greek bios, meaning life, mimesis and imitation, is a new discipline that studies nature's best ideas and then imitates these designs to solve human problems sustainably. Studying a leaf to invent a better solar cell is an example of innovation inspired by nature. The core idea is that nature has already solved many of the problems grappling with today. Animals, plants and microbes are the consummate architects. They have found what works, what is appropriate, and the most important thing, what lasts here on Earth. It introduces an era based not on what we can extract from nature, but what we can learn from it. And now I have to confess, back in high school days I hated to study biology, and so I do now. But the main difference is that now I got motivation by changing the focus from just memorizing to finding a direct relation with architecture. It was through this research I am going to present you how I opened my mind on this field, started applying it in my projects. To explain this process of designing architecture based in nature, we are going to go through various projects built all over the world after a short historical research. The history of architecture in the 20th century can be looked upon as a history of buildings emulating machines and technology. The machine has been the symbol of progress and human domain over nature for the last 100 years. The machine has allowed us to achieve comfort in any climate. It is not surprising that machines are the ultimate metaphor for the buildings of today. Le Corbusier even went so far as to say that houses were machines to live in. As machines, our buildings also began to look more and more similar, regardless of culture or climate. They began to look more and more similar, regardless of culture or climate. With machines, our buildings took on the characteristics of assembly line productions. An office built in Singapore now looks the same as an office built in Manhattan, and both share the same perfect climate controlled by indoor environment. At the same time, the laws of regional difference began to undermine the uniqueness of place, removing us from understanding what local culture and climate have to offer. The architecture of the 20th century has seen the emergence of engineering and technological solutions as the dominant factor in building design, fitting for machines for living in. Unfortunately, buildings use energy and materials, depleting resources and using energy in ways that is beginning to alter the very climate that we all depend on. According to the US Green Building Council, buildings in the United States consume 30% of the total energy and 60% of the total electricity. However, not too long ago we had a different model for our buildings and a different relationship with nature. Until modern times, buildings could be compared to living organisms, evolved in response to climate and topography, changing form and composition as necessary to protect what was inside from the elements. This evolution produced vernacular forms that differed from place to place in a similar way that plants and animals differ from bios to bios, from biome to biome. Excuse me. If we have focused in comparing the igloos in the Arctic with the adobe structures in the south, we appreciate that climate and culture shaped architecture using only the material at hand. I would like to shift focus now to some examples of this architecture. Venus flower basket sponge sits in underwater environment. With strong water currents, and its exoskeleton and round shape help disperse those stresses on the organism. Architect Norman Foster, inspired by this Venus flower, designed Gherkin Tower, which has hexagonal skin. From an architectural point of view, it is exciting to watch the construction of amazing new stadium like the bird's nest, inspired, as its own name indicates, in a bird's nest, and also the water cube. These buildings are not only energy efficient and eco-friendly, but also inspired by the nature. The water cube's architectural design is based on water bubbles in foam. This structure is obtained from principles of geometry and crystalline systems. The building's structure is framed in steel with bubbles themselves and made from a material simulating pillows. The membrane let in more light and heat than traditional glass does, which keeps all 5 pools warmer. Also, rainwater from the roof is collected and recycled with filtration systems. Biomimicry design is not only adapting the design from the nature, but also considering how to use nature's effective functions such as heating and cooling system, protected natural light and ventilation. Some more examples of biomimicry can be found in the Habitat 2020 building envisioned for China, the tripods designed by Influx Studio, the All Seasons tent tower by Office Architecture, and the lily pad floating city by Vincent Calebot. In conclusion, the living building will fulfill 5 points. Harvest its own water and energy needs on site. Be adapted specifically to site and climate and built primarily with local materials. Point number 3, will promote the health and well-being of all inhabitants working as an ecosystem, will maximize efficiency and comfort, and finally, will be beautiful and inspire us to dream. Finally, just to sum up, in the future, the houses we live in and the offices we work in will be designed to function like living organisms, specifically adapt to the place and able to complete all of the requirements for energy and water from the surrounding sun, wind and rain. The architecture of the future will draw inspiration not from the machines of the 20th century, but from the nature that grows in the landscape that surrounds them. That's all from me about biomimicry in architecture, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much for watching.